Hi, this is Arthur, and it's the Minute Review Show. It's my second live stream ever, and I just want to see how everyone is doing this weekend. It's a Saturday night, and the big thing that's happening here is the New York Knicks game, and yeah, it appears to be that they're on the brink of not making it into the finals. So I'm waiting for that game. But in the meantime, I thought that I would go on to the live stream and say hi to everyone. If you have anything that you want to say, just let me see. I'm still not used to this. Not sure where the comments are. Okay, let me see. See if I can see the chat. Okay. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask me anything. I believe the chat is on, but I'm not 100% sure because this is only my second time. I'm trying all the buttons. If you have any questions, please write them in the chat box, and I'll be happy to talk to you about that. Just to let everyone know, this is only my second live stream, so it's new to me, and I'd be very happy to answer any of your questions that you have about the channel. So far, I don't see any questions in the chat box. So okay. So maybe I could start off with a topic. The topic might be, my knowledge of Manhattan, my knowledge of Chinatown, and what my experience has been. Basically, I grew up in the late 70s and in the 80s in a neighborhood that's more considered the Lower East Side, but still close enough to Chinatown where I was living in a largely Chinese community. And I have many childhood memories of being in Chinatown, which is why I have a very strong affinity to being in Chinatown. Basically, there's lots of childhood memories that I've had there. Went to schools there, and I always felt before I started this channel that I wanted to. I wouldn't say give back, but more like I wanted to keep some of the traditions that we've had in Chinatown for all these years. And you may ask, what are those traditions? Well, the most memorable thing in my childhood, I would say, is the food. And I think that's probably the case for most people. So, what I would say is that, I have fond memories of one of the earliest fond memories that I had was buying chung fun or rice rolls from a cart that was outside, that was on the corner of Pike Street and East Broadway. Now, during that time, that I believe that was the time right before Hong Kong Supermarket appeared on Pike Street. And when the Hong Kong supermarket was built, I think it was probably in the early 1980s. Um, Chinatown was basically gaining momentum, more population, and it was basically some place where a lot of people, uh, needed shops like larger and larger supermarkets to buy their stuff. But I always remembered there was this one guy who was on the corner of East Broadway and Pike selling his Sheng Fun, and that was the time when I learned what Hong Kong style Sheng Fun was. Basically, it's the stuff with the peanut sauce, with the hoisin sauce, and some sweet soy. Basically, he had it in these clamshell containers, and when he put it into those containers, basically, uh, what that was that it was super cheap. I'm not sure. I think it may have been maybe 50 cents or a dollar for a container. But in any case, that was something that was very nice to see. That there was one guy with a cart selling stuff that is from Hong Kong. But when I was a kid, I didn't really know what it was. I just knew that it was very tasty and it was cheap. So we went to, my family. We would go there all the time to buy fish balls. That's where I learned how to enjoy all the street food type of stuff that you would get there. So yeah, he would sell fish balls. He would sell uh, beef tripe. He would sell the uh, pork skin. He would sell chung fun. Basically, all combinations of that type of stuff. Also, curry squid. So that's my earliest education, probably at 9 or 10 years old. That's what I learned, how I learned about that type of food. So once that happened, I just learned to fall in love with that type of food. Other experiences with Chinatown, I would say during that period, was that at that time most of Chinatown um, was Cantonese, or Cantonese speaking or Taishanese speaking, and there were very few things that were non-Cantonese, and so basically your two options were to yum cha, or to have dim sum with your family, or the other option was just to go to coffee shops. I guess back then coffee shops were a big thing. What people did was that they would have a counter. It's almost like what you would see in American style coffee shops. You would literally sit at a counter on a stool and order your coffee and a chung bun, or coffee and a bun, or coffee and something, or a naita, a tea, basically a milk tea, with hot milk tea with a bun or something to that of that sort. So that was something that those were basically the only two options that you had in Chinatown. Another thing in Manhattan's Chinatown at that time that they had was the one thing that wasn't Cantonese is was the Shanghainese restaurants. That was my first exposure ever to Shanghainese food in New York's Chinatown. Uh, that seemed to be back then there was literally only one Sichuanese restaurant, like three Shanghainese restaurants I knew of, and the rest were all Cantonese or Taishanese type restaurants. So what I can say is that you know that was the earliest education in Chinese food that I had. Let's talk a little bit about the Shanghainese restaurants. Um, the Shanghainese restaurants were basically restaurants that had the first thing that I memorize that was memorable about those Shanghainese restaurants were their scallion pancakes. That was the first place that I've ever had a scallion pancake in my life. So I always associated scallop pancakes with Shanghainese restaurants. And then later on, later on in the history of Chinatown, there were more and more Shanghainese type restaurants where I learned how to love pork shoulder done the Shanghainese way. I learned how to love uh, I don't know. There's just other stuff. Oh yeah, mainly noodles, like Shanghainese type noodles. But as time went on, we started having soup dumplings. Now, I think I may have mentioned that in some of my earlier videos that soup dumplings didn't happen in Chinatown until I think 1993 or 1994, and that restaurant was actually one of the first Shanghainese restaurants to have that stuff. As far as I remember, I mean, this is just my memory. I may be wrong, but the first Shanghainese restaurant that had soup dumplings was a place called Chef Ho, which was on Pell Street in Manhattan's Chinatown. And that particular restaurant made such a huge impression on me because I never had a soup dumpling in my life until that particular time. And it just blew me away. Just the concept of having soup wrapped up in a pastry, or not a pastry, but in a dough uh, that was hot and that was tasty and that was novel to me. Something that was very different, something that was new. Uh, Mind you, that before that time, all I had was Cantonese food, Taiwanese food, that type of stuff. So yeah, that was quite the revelation. But for some reason, Chef Ho, that Shanghainese restaurant, didn't last for that long. Um, what happened was that I think they closed. And if I remember correctly, if you remember my video on Joe's Ginger, I think Chef Ho was located at the Joe's Ginger location. And so once Chef Ho closed, I think in the following year, Joe Shanghai opened. And once again, Joe Shanghai, for those of you who know, really brought the art of soup dumpling all the way up, all the way up. And that they popularized it. If you stepped into the old Joe Shanghai on Pell Street in Chinatown, there were walls and walls of pictures of politicians, of famous people eating soup dumplings. Another great thing about that Joe Shanghai that was on Pell Street was that got to share tables. You got to talk with the people who you were sitting with. Most of the time they would be tourists, but some of the times they were not tourists. So it was just a nice, friendly place. I really enjoyed going there many times. And yeah. Oh, okay. I think I might have a chat message, but I don't know how to view it. I wish I did. Oh, okay. Okay, we have Christy asking about restaurants for good soup dumplings. Okay, okay. We'll get back to my story about the origins of soup dumplings. Um, okay, so I believe that's Christy who asked that question. Are there any restaurants that are good for soup dumplings? And ever since Joe Shanghai moved to the Bowery in Manhattan, their quality to me has gone down because it tastes a little more mass produced. And even if it wasn't mass produced, the quality isn't as good. So, what I would say is that the best and the closest to the original Joe Shanghai, and I'm actually giving this away because I did a review of a place that I went to recently, and this review will probably come up in 1 or 2 months, um, at a place called Steam on 14th Street and I believe 6th Avenue. And that particular place, I would say, is the closest to what Joe Shanghai was. Now, in most of my reviews, if you've seen most of my Shanghainese food reviews, most of those reviews talk about the quality of soup dumplings. Now, what I like about soup dumplings is how thin the skin is, what I would call baggy skin. If you remember those plastic bags from the 1990s, 1980s. There was a brand called Baggies with a crocodile on it. Well, that that plastic bag had a very thin, supple uh, feel to it. So when you lifted it up, there were a lot of folds in the bag. So that's what I'm looking for because only super thin skin can achieve that type of texture. So Steam, which is the name of the restaurant, is the only restaurant that I've found over the past year and a half of doing the Minute Review show. Um, that's the only one that came even close to having the original Joe Shanghai's taste. What I fell in love with the Joe Shanghai original was that nice thin skin, and I swear I've been to many Shanghainese restaurants, and nobody could copy the original Joe Shanghai. But this year I found that place. So, if you want to go there, yeah, I would highly recommend it. And you'll see what I mean when they bring out the soup dumpling for you. So, thank you, Christy, for asking me that question. And I'm always here to help. So, yeah. So, getting back to the story about soup dumplings, what I after Joe Shanghai opened, um, I believe at the turn of the millennium, a little after the year 2000, we had the next biggest hyped place was a place called Nanshang. Now, it's really funny. I actually have a weird history with Nanshang. Um, Basically, we went during the height of the hype, and this was early in the hype. So I believe this was probably in the year 2003, 2004, right at the beginning of the hype about Nanshang. And yeah, I mean, their soup dumplings were fine, but the problem I had with them in my first visit ever, was that their service was not very good, and yeah, that sort of negated my good feelings towards Nanshang. I actually didn't go for years and years after my first experience with them. Uh, Nothing bad about their food, but the service was horrific the first time I went. But what I can say is that they got, I think in the 2010s, they got all their Michelin, not Michelin stars, they got all their Zagits. Actually, I believe they did get Michelin stars for how many years? Maybe like 8 or 9 years. And I mean, they were good. They were good. I went probably one time after the initial time. They were okay, but I went recently, and I thought that the standards have changed a bit. Now, what has changed? Their restaurant has now become a mini chain, and they have restaurants out in New Jersey and just other locations. And what does that imply? That probably implies mass. Hey, hi, William. That probably implies mass production of soup dumplings. So that doesn't portend to good things. So the one thing that I kind of see is that their soup dumplings are very doughy now, and that's something that I'm not really enjoying. But hey, if that's what they need to do to expand, more power to them to get the word out. But yeah, when soup dumplings are commodified, there's going to be some suffering in quality. So let's leave it at that. Um, so anyhow, so from what I was responding to earlier to one of the comments, um, that restaurant that I found called Steam, I believe there's only one of them in New York City, and since there's only one of them, I believe they can keep their standards at a pretty high level. And yeah, those soup dumplings were really, I mean, it drew me right back to 1995 with the original Joe's Shanghai. So yes, yes, it is good. Speaking of which, a lot of people say that Joe Shanghai is not what it used to be. Yeah, I agree with that. But also, we got to remember that they were the first and they were the best for a very long time. So yeah, it's sort of like if you love something a lot and over time it changes, I guess it's inevitable that things change. So that's basically it for uh, Shanghainese cuisine. So we also, yeah, also in the history of Chinatown, I believe the first Sichuanese restaurant in Manhattan's Chinatown was Hua Yuan, if I'm not mistaken, and yeah, back then it was called Sichuan, Szechuan, Sichuan. So basically, that restaurant was known for uh, sesame their sesame noodles and basically dishes that were done up in chili oil. And I've never, even back then, it was considered a high end restaurant. I never really had a chance to try Huayuan, uh, mainly because I was a teenager at the time, and it was a fairly expensive restaurant, and I was never able to pay for it. Um, the Oh, speaking of which, just stream of consciousness. There were several restaurants in Chinatown that were considered high end at the time, and yeah, those are always out of reach. The restaurants that my family frequented, and I don't know if anyone here at this chat would know, is Hopshing. Now, Hopshing, I could do a whole history of it. And I'm sure most of the people who watch my channel, they know which one I'm talking about if they're around my age. And Hopshing made the original greatest chashu bao, roast pork bun. Bar none, they made the best. Now, Hopshing was located on Chatham Square, I believe, not 9 Chatham Square. And it was a shop that was a mid-sized restaurant, but the front had a counter, a breakfast counter, and there were all steam cabinets right behind the counter. You could get your coffee, and then you can get your buns, and then you can get basically they made the best chashu bao, the best coconut buns, like the chicken tail buns. Uh, they call it gai mei bao, and they made really good stuff. And it was just so sad that when they left, it left a giant hole in Chinatown. I would say that if they were around now in this age of social media, I don't think Mei Lai Hua would be that big a deal. I'm serious about that. Even with their fancy pineapple crust chashu baos, roast pork buns, I don't think they would be as popular as they are today. The reason why was because I mean, let's talk about the scale of how popular Hopshing was during their era. I think they closed maybe like 5 years ago, but anyhow, you would have office workers buy giant boxes of chashu bao, like 12 to a box. They would bring back to the office. I even did it once myself. Brought it back to an office down in the financial district. So those are the kinds of that's the kind of popularity. There would be lines out the door. Um, it was just the place to get your roast pork buns, and it's just so sad that they're not there anymore. Um, when a vacuum is left, Mei Lai Hua just stepped in and basically I don't know what it was, how they did it, but they got that social media thing going, and every single influencer goes to Mei Lai Hua. More power to them. They saw an opportunity and they jumped right in there and they claimed the mantle of the best chashu purveyor in Chinatown. Of course, that's debatable, right? I'm sure everyone here has their favorite chashu bao place. Um, so yeah, just oh, in fact, if you have a favorite Chinese bakery, just put it down in the comments and or in the live chat, and let me see what your favorite place is. It doesn't have to be in Chinatown. It can be in Queens and Brooklyn, wherever. And tell me a little bit about what you like about chashu uh, oh, the quality of that Hapxing chashiba that I was talking about was excellent. It was the juiciest, had the best gravy, had some onions in there. It had the right sweetness. Uh, it had everything, and just blows away what Meilaiwa has now. It's just so sad that they weren't able to keep it going. So yeah, I think enough about that. Enough about that. You know, sadness only takes you that so far. You just have to accept it and move on. So yeah, so basically, yeah, Chinatown. Yeah, I feel that it's changed a lot, and there are some things to me as a I would say a resident of Chinatown for many years. Uh, what's really disappointing is how small the population seems to have gotten. Uh, every tourist related store, like stores that sell trinkets, T-shirts, stuff like that, uh, they've taken over spaces that were occupied by real mom and pop businesses in Chinatown, and they were there for the community. And yeah, it's just as they say, things change. But when I look at, for example, when I go walk up Mulberry Street in Chinatown, and I see a trinket store, a tourist trinket store in the space where Zhongmei used to be. Zhongmei was a specialty Chinese grocery store. It just makes me feel very nostalgic, very disappointed that they're not there anymore. Yeah, and there's countless businesses that are like that. Um, yeah, the other business that I feel might be endangered is a company called Camman, a Gumwood on Canal Street. I say to myself, I always wonder how much longer can these legacy businesses stay alive. I mean, that business has been around before I was born, probably, and yeah, one by one, they're still there. But I guess just to sum up what I wanted to say tonight before the Knicks game. I'm a Nets fan, but I'll watch the Knicks. Um, sum up what I'm saying. I guess one of the missions of my channel is to highlight some of these businesses that have been there for years and years and years. And we really do need to highlight these places, right? I mean, I mean, I look at, just having this YouTube channel, I look at other influencers, they go hit and run, go in and out, all surface level, no depth. And that bothers me because that doesn't really do much for any business. I really think it doesn't do much. I mean, just put it in the chat. Let me know what you think about these old businesses in all the Chinatowns in New York. It doesn't do much, and yeah, I mean, the public might go in for one item, like the Mei Lai Hua Chashu Bao, Mei Lai Hua roast pork bun, but that doesn't do much for all the other businesses. There are a lot of fantastic businesses in Chinatown. Seriously, a lot of fantastic businesses in Chinatown that have been handed down generation to generation, and Some have stopped, but some haven't. Those that I can readily identify, I choose to go to those places for my channel, and I do it with a purpose. I do it because they they stuck it out. They're still here in 2025, and they need a little exposure. I mean, I always feel that hey, if they're making that sacrifice now, the business opening a restaurant business is very difficult, but if they made that sacrifice to last for 10, 20 years, heck, even if they own the building, that's still a sacrifice. Even they're not paying rent. It's still a sacrifice to open up a business like that, and they're hanging on. And I think they deserve a little more exposure. They tend to do. I feel they tend to do a pretty good job on most of their menu. I mean, nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect in doing a 100% perfect menu. But if 80% of those items on that menu are solid, they deserve some exposure. So that's part of the reason why I do the minute review show. I do it because it's a little selfish also. I want to keep these businesses in business by getting the word out, and also, I feel that, now this is pretty silly. I like to eat. I'm sure all of you do. So yeah, it's they just need to stick around, and just let the appreciation build and build upon each other. Because if you're losing, because I find that with new restaurants, there tends to be a culling or a cutting down of menu items, and that doesn't serve the community too well, I feel, because if they're cutting down all the obscure dishes, you're going to have what they call monoculture. And is that what we really want? I mean, I think there's more fun in diversity. So having more choice, having more diversity in the menu is a good thing. Having all these new restaurants with fewer choices, but with a more focused menu, uh, I don't know. I just feel that tends to um, keep it tends to pull every restaurant into the same direction. So I don't think that does good things for the future of creativity or preserving a culture, a food culture, right? If everything starts tasting the same, then what's the point? Like I just sent out a review yesterday for King's Kitchen in East Broadway in Chinatown, and what was the one item that I found that was really interesting, that was really creative? It was the rice roll, the chung fun with the cruller with the yellow peel and the beef in it. Now you have those two items wrapped up in one item. You can't get it anywhere else except for that one restaurant. So that tells me that 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 restaurant cares about having variety and also being original. And yeah, but if time goes on and all of this creativity is cut out, that can't be a good thing. That really can't be a good thing. So yeah, so the evolution of Chinatown continues, but in the meantime, my goal is to keep the word out, just to let people know that there are these legacy restaurants in Chinatown, and I basically as much as I can, financially and whatever, as much as I can expose as many of these legacy restaurants as I can on the channel. And I'm not ordering like the $50 per plate items, obviously, because who can afford that on a daily basis. But I do intend to show those items that are for everyday people like you and me, right? I'm sure most people are working people, like you and me. And we want a good meal at a very reasonable price. And those kinds of restaurants that I'm going to, I think, provide that type of value, and yeah, that type of value and memory for people who appreciate things like that. So anyhow, yeah, the basketball game is about to begin, and yeah, I apologize for not announcing this live stream. I actually wanted to do this because I wanted to test it to see how things work. Um, so if I do another live stream, I will announce it ahead of time. And also, please feel free to, get the chat going, talk amongst yourselves, ask me any questions on the live stream. I believe for particular this particular chat, um, yeah, in this particular chat, I've only gotten 2 comments. Yeah, I hopefully I've answered the questions, but I wanted to thank those who have actually tuned into this live stream, and I appreciate your watching the channel. And let's keep this going. Let's keep this going for years.